So welcome to the third part of the three-part series. So we're in the last part of this series, which I will be discussing about the deal analyzer that I'm using. So it's a deal analyzer from David Tupins. So I added this T12 tab and also the rent roll. So I discussed it in the past two series that there will be the T12 and about the rent roll. So what I'm just doing here is I'm just copying whatever the data from the T12, copy it here, then put it also the rent roll. So based on the specs, then I will see the different unit mix on this property. Then the main portion of this deal analyzer is all about this input sheet. So the different sections of the expense, as I said, discussing the expense in the T12. So there will be management fee, advertising, and all these main major categories on the expenses. So these are the T12. Then what will be your projected projections on your year one? Then you will also see here, let's say the expense per unit. So these are like just rule of thumb that you might want still to check with your local property management company that you're working with. So these are the input section. So you will see what I do is I copy first all the T12s here. Then I have a reclassification, at least on my analyzer, from, let's say, total gross rent, then I'll copy it to potential. Then if I most of the time the T12 has different terminologies that I want to still, let's say, this down units versus less vacancy, I'll still categorize this as vacancy loss when it comes to this. So I'm just reclassifying all the different inputs from the T12 to what it be in this deal analyzer. Same with the expenses. So you have different terminologies for contract, but it will all end up under contract services. Then same with repairs, maintenance, and the other stuff. So once I have put the T12, so this will be reflected now under this T12 expenses, then I will put the year one projections for that particular deal. Then this is the capital reserve that the lender usually requires, either 250 to range from 250 to 350 depending on the lender. Then for the income section, so there will be potential rent, and this is the RUBS that I was talking, basically like you're billing back the utilities to the resident. Then other income, then loss to lease, vacancy loss. So this comes from the T12. Then for your version of the other income, so this is the place that I put it. Then also the RUBS. So this is per unit per month. That is for this deal analyzer. Then this is the bump of rent, like how much is the increase of income that I will be expecting. Then these are the different unit mix for that this particular property. Then what's the square footage? Then these are the number of the units for that particular unit mix. Then now what I do first is what's for me, like what I added here is I put the average rent right now in the base from the existing rent roll. I put it here based on, let's say, this unit type. So that's how I underwrite stuff. Then the renovated one, so what will be the value of the units once renovated? So this is where I place this in this deal analyzer. Then you will also see here like the current, let's say, the price per square footage. So that's the importance of, you need to know what's the square footage of the unit. So it will be similar to, let's say, when you renovated, was the renovated price per square foot. Then these are the expense. So we're just putting the different closing cost expenses. Like if you have a syndication deal, then there will be a separate two attorneys that will be involved. One is for the real estate attorney and one for the syndication attorney. Then there will also be some appraisals or the inspection, survey, environmental. So all of this will be here. Then this is where the split will happen. So preferred return. So if you have been watching my YouTube channel about the preferred return. So preferred return is the this is the percentage of the investor's capital that you're paying first to the investor before you split it, the income. So let's say for 100,000 investment, if the deal is about 7% pref, so you need to pay that the 7,000 first before you in a year. So before it gets split into like an 80-20 in this matter. So this deal, let's say it's an 8% pref return, then you have an 80-20 split. So 80% goes to the limited partners, 20% goes to the general partners. Then this is like if you have an asset management fee, so this goes to the general partner, then acquisition fee also goes to the general partner. Because as acquisition fee, as you all know, it also takes time and effort and also risk on the general partner to come up with this deal. And knowing also they're putting a lot of their money hard, I mean, upfront, like all this environment fee, I mean, surveys, and also sometimes the lender also needs like a 1%, I mean, some 1% of the actual loan amount needs to be there. So that's also another thing. Then so that's the most of the input sheet. Then for the renovation, so this is where, let's say, we input the renovation. So there will be, you can specify, okay, what's the cost per unit? How many do you want to update per unit? Then this will be the roofing, siding. So if this will be under this one. So you can put any estimate, let's say for one roofing, you can put some amount. So all these amount are just like don't use exactly this amount. So you need to check with your local property management company or construction company to put it. So this is just for demo purposes, like what I'm putting in a deal analyzer, how I underwrite stuff using this. So once I have the cost per unit, so all in all, so you will have all this renovation. Then I want to put also some contingency, like either a 10% contingency on top of, let's say this is, let's say 175,000. So there will be a 17,500 extra just in case. So it's a rainy day fund, just in case fund. Then next is after you have done the renovation, so we'll put the how much purchase price that we can avail for this particular property. Then the loan to value, like how much will be the loan that you will be able to get. So if they will require you to have a 25% down, then 75% they will cover. What's the interest rate? Will there be an interest only, meaning that you'll only pay interest, let's say on the first 3 years, then the amortization rate, years in years. Then what's the minimum debt service coverage? This is just for a flag that if it will detect if you're aggressive or you're still in a good debt service coverage ratio. Then banks usually want like a 1.25 that or the agency also like needs at least a 1.25. That meaning this debt service coverage ratio is like if you are having let's say a debt service or loan payment of, let's say, 500,000. So they would want at least if you have a debt service coverage ratio of 1, that means your net operating income is only 500,000. So it will just wash out the debt service. So what they want is you have a 25% more of that 500,000 debt service that you're paying to them. So that's how this debt service coverage ratio is all about. Then some deals also have a refi. So their business plan is to refi on year 3. So that will be, I mean, you will give back some of the investors' capital at this time. Then when you do the refi, then the refinance cap rate will be what's the cap rate during your refinance. So it will determine how much will be the property will be worth. So what between this and also the sale cap rate, we just want to add like a 10 basis points. Let's say if the cap rate for that area is 6%. So you're refining on 3. So you will want to, I mean, at least we underwrite it in terms of we will have a refi cap rate of, let's say, 6.3. Then if it's a 6-year hold, so the sale cap rate will be 6.6. So just in case, because the higher the cap rate, the lower the value of the property will be. It's a reverse. So if it's a lower cap rate, so if the cap rate is low, so let's say this 6.6, but actually it's 6, then it will be really a good upside on you. But if it's the reverse, that you accounted for a low cap rate, then suddenly for some reason the cap rate increased, then now and the property value is, I mean, it's a lot less. So that's why we're increasing the cap rate as we hold it. Then all these amortization, so what's the interest rate at that time? Then yeah, one thing I didn't show also here is like you need to also watch out for if there's any prepayment penalty. So the prepayment penalty will be like if it's a 10-year term, I mean it is a 10-year term. So if you sell it for 6 years, there will be a prepayment penalty for the remaining of the, let's say, the 4 years that you haven't paid the interest. So it depends. So there's a step down versus a yield maintenance penalty. So I will not discuss those in details in this series. So that's how it looks like. And then this will be the summary of, let's say, on the sale side. So given the 3% cost on sale, then this is the sale price, what's the principal remaining on the loan. Then, so this will be the summary page of that one. Then this is the pro forma page. This is one you can input. So this model of the deal analyzer is a burn off. So we're burning off the economic vacancy. So economic vacancy, you will have a higher loss to lease. Then eventually as a year pass by, so it will be lower as we go along. So that's how the burn of the economic vacancy will happen. So it will be lower as you progresses. So by year 3, the idea is it's now stabilized. So it will be like less than 10%, or depending on what's the economic vacancy or on that particular market. So which is most of the time the economic is within maybe 4 to 7%. So you will just tune down this so that on year 3 onwards, it will now be lesser. So these are the different like year 1 projection. So you will have this rental income. Then this will have an increase of 2% annual rental income increase. Then so utility also, let's say you have then similar to the expense, so there will be some 3% expense, and then other stuff also. Yeah, so this payroll, yeah, this will be like ideally it should be like 3% increase in the expense. Then once you have the expense, you will have this income and expense. You will have the net operating income. Then for the total the net operating income will be just with the income minus the expenses, as I said before. Then there will also be the capital reserve, the 250. Then also if you have an asset management fee, so this will also be deducted. So by the time comes less all this, so this will be your net income. Then you will have also the deduction of the debt service. So this has a 3-year IO, so you're only paying interest. Then this is the total net income of the property. Then as you'll see, like this is the debt service coverage ratio. And yeah, so that's how you will see. Then the next portion that you will want is the investment return. So this will show similar to the pro forma, but much more of a summarize. And also you just have like the income, expense, and then how much will be the preferred return that will be paid. So given, let's say 190,000, right? Then we pay first the 8% preferred return of all the money invested as an limited partner. So on that passive pool. So let's say the 8% of that total capital was 2.1 was the total investor capital. This was the capital raise. Then this is the 175,000 is the 8% of this. Then the remaining will be where the GP and the LP will split. So similar to this, so 8%. Then as I mentioned, like on year 3, there was a refi. So that's why you will see this investor capital now decreases. So this is the remaining capital on the deal for that for the passive investors. Then now the 8% will become lower than all those stuff. Then yeah, so these are the investor portion. Then you will see also the general partners, which I will not discuss. Like this is more geared towards, let's say, how I typically underwrite for at least for the benefit of the limited partners. Then one thing we want to see at least an IRR nowadays. Like originally it was we were shooting for 15. Then now I think there was an adjustment of some are even underwriting now. At least there will be a 14% IRR. Then this is the multiple. So given let's say 100,000, so after 6 years it will become 183,000. So, and then this is the average cash on cash return. Then this is the total return of investment. So it's an 82% in return of investment. Okay. So that's the investment returns, and this ends the third portion of this three-part series.